Good day, Korea, and the rest of the world. Let me share with you one of the policies of the Philippines on the inclusion of women with disabilities in the National Awareness Campaign for Women. Women with disabilities, as we all know, face multiple forms of discrimination based on their gender orientation, economic status, race, ethnicity, religion, and disability. They are often subjected to multiple burdens and stereotyping, as well as being victims of violence and abuse from their family, community, and society. Their rights are often denied due to the following circumstances. Filled circle: very little access to rehabilitation services, assistive devices, and early intervention to increase functionality during childhood. Filled circle: overprotection of family member and belief that girls and women with disabilities are not capable of becoming independent and a lifetime burden. Filled circle: the perspective of the general public that women with disabilities are objects of charity and pity because they are not capable of taking care of themselves. Lack of awareness among families, the community, and local government about their rights on an equal basis with others, which results in filled circle: physical environment that is not accessible to women and all persons with disabilities, such as public roads, transportation, and all facilities intended for public. Filled circle: health care facilities and frontline personnel are not aware and lack the sensitivity to provide services to women and girls with disabilities, especially in sexual reproductive health services, without discrimination. Filled circle: unavailability of disability support services, learning materials in accessible format, and lack of teachers with disabilities who may give meaningful services to learners with disabilities. The BWDAWARE Millennium Framework 2003-2012 called for the participation of women with disabilities in self-help groups, since their concerns are not addressed by the advocacy agenda of self-help organizations. They were also seen as underrepresented, and their leadership was invisible in their respective communities and even in their membership in national organizations of people with disabilities. Goal 6 of the Incheon Strategy, which runs from 2013 to 2022, is to ensure gender equality and the empowerment of women with disabilities throughout Asia and the Pacific. Article 6 on women with disabilities must be understood by all state parties as the guiding document in the implementation of the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, which states parties recognize that women and girls with disabilities are subject to multiple discrimination and, in this regard, shall take measures to ensure their full and equal enjoyment of all human rights and fundamental freedoms. States parties shall take all appropriate measures to ensure the full development, advancement, and the empowerment of women, so that they can exercise and enjoy the human rights and fundamental freedoms outlined in this convention. In response to a call made before the UNCRPD was ratified, former President Joseph Ejercito Estrada signed Proclamation 744, which made every last Monday of the year Women with Disability Day. March is Women's Month, but prior to the issuance of the proclamation, very little attention was given to women with disabilities in the Philippines. Some of the important provisions of Presidential Proclamation 744 are as follows. Filled circle: all heads of departments, chiefs of bureaus, offices, agencies, and instrumentalities of the national government are hereby instructed to implement plans, programs, and activities geared towards the fulfillment of the human rights of the women with disabilities. Filled circle: local chief executives and other officials of local government units are hereby encouraged to implement plans, programs, and activities geared towards the fulfillment of the human rights of women with disabilities. Filled circle: the funds necessary to carry out the provisions of this proclamation shall be sourced from the 5% of each agency's budget for gender and development (GAD) provided for in the yearly General Appropriations Act, and from other funds to support the implementation of the National Plan of Action for Women. The National Council on Disability Affairs leads the annual observance by convening its member national agencies and organizations of persons with disabilities to plan for the theme and suggest activities for dissemination to regional offices, local government units, and organizations of persons with disabilities, especially women with disabilities. The activities shall work on the agreed theme, which is usually rooted in the issues of women with disabilities relevant to the current trend. Days before the event, all government agencies are required to hang streamers near their offices with a design and message that has already been agreed upon. They are also encouraged to do activities to raise awareness of women with disabilities and get them involved in their programs and services. For 19 years, the observance of Women with Disability Day has made some progress and had an impact on the lives of women and girls with different types of disabilities. Parents, advocates, and the community, organizations of women with disabilities are now being recognized and given representation in local federations, and their leadership is recognized. Women with disabilities as individual leaders and achievers are also being recognized as role models. Young women with disabilities are still being trained to be leaders so that the projects can keep going. But there are always challenges. Sharing experiences, discussing issues that only they understand, and providing solutions. Coaching and mentoring must continue to keep the fire of leadership burning. We were able to produce women who are practicing their rights and participating in their communities as community organizers, responders during disasters, and motivators, leading women with disabilities businesses, providing income to families, and making other women with disabilities contributors to the economy. In spite of the pandemic, there are so many women with disabilities who really made a difference in their communities, but some of them really gave their brightest during the pandemic, bringing hope, a little comfort, food, and help to survive their days of fear from COVID-19. The process of making a policy on awareness-raising campaigns in the Philippines and putting it into action has moved slowly. But it has had a big impact on advocates and women with disabilities. It is not perfect, but this policy is a tool for women's leaders that serves them to assert their rights in their respective local government units to act and allocate funds. So, I encourage this group to suggest to the UN General Assembly that the last day of March be the International Day of Women with Disabilities every year. We have been witnessing how internationally declared events, such as World Autism Awareness Day, World Down Syndrome Day, among others, stirred some countries and made their governments participate by conducting activities. This is to remind us of our sisters with disabilities in developing countries who still face being left out, living in poverty, and not having the same rights as everyone else. In sisterhood, thank you very much. I wish you all sustained passion, strength, and courage to continue our journey in striving for better tomorrow. For women of the future.